Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Thinking Outside the Long Box. As usual, I am your interviewer, Gabe, and today I am talking to, a man that in many ways has become a fandom legend. I am, of course, talking with Jim Beaver, who is Bobby Singer on Supernatural, as well as Secretary of Defense Robert Singer on The Boys. So, Mr. Beaver, how are you this evening, sir?
Well, I'm fine. I am. Although when somebody says Mr. Beaver, I figure they're talking about my dad. So
Yeah, it's just a
Jim,
habit. It's not a critique on age. It's just a habit.
well, no, I'm doing well considering the state of the nation, state of the world.
Right. So obviously, we asked you to be on the show because we just did a 4 episode series kind of covering the entire run of Supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
Because this year Supernatural ended it as a series with its 15th
What?
season. Yeah, did they not tell you?
No, well, I'm only up to middle of season 2, so I haven't been paying close attention.
So as it draws to a close, we get to see the return of you and some brief moments, in the ultimate episode, kind of the
Yeah.
end of a series. And I guess looking back on kind of what this has become, how it's gone from just kind of like a Monster of the Week show to like this amazing fandom and amazing kind of body of work. What are some of the things that it brought up in you to work on that last episode?
Well, the the experience of doing the final episode was diluted in a way because of all the restrictions we had on us because of COVID-19. And as unhappy as I am about the pandemic, I was particularly unhappy that it kind of took attention away from the ability to fully engage with the final episode of the show. It restricted things like hanging out as closely with one's friends on the set, and it made saying goodbye to everybody a little more difficult, a little more complicated. But it was a real pleasure to be back and to be there for the final episode. I started out in the final episode of season 1 and ended up in the final episode of season 15. I don't know if that means anything, but I'm very proud of the fact that I was there all the way through. And the entire experience was very rich. The experience of the final episode was so bittersweet. It was, when you work in series television, it's going to end because it always does. Even if it takes 25 years, it ends.
Right. Except for The Simpsons, apparently.
Well, yeah, but they're drawn a slightly different way, and I guess there are exceptions. But knowing it was going to end someday is a very different thing from knowing it's going to end today. And I was there on the very last day of shooting, and it was a powerfully emotional experience. It was great fun, as always, when we were actually doing the work. It's always a joy working with that cast and crew. And so in some ways, it was just another day at work on Supernatural, in that we had a great time together. And we did interesting work, and we had fun doing it. But on the other hand, there was this knowledge of as soon as they wrap this scene, they have wrapped me forever.
Yeah.
And it's not exactly like being in the death house waiting for the long walk, but it felt a little less, uh, only a little less negative than that. Um, it was a very teary day, and a lot of us were deeply moved by the experience, and deeply regretful of having to leave each other. Um, I've never worked with I've never worked with anyone as long as I've worked with the crew on Supernatural, and um, while there are actors I've worked with and known for many, many years, I've never actually been on set with the same bunch of people for anywhere near this long. And that, if they're as good a bunch as these guys are, that makes them family. And to sort of wander off in all directions, thinking maybe we'll see each other again someday, is a really affecting and melancholy kind of thing. But we had a good time, and I think we did real justice to what the show set out to be, which was not just an adventure, but the story of people who wanted to be a force for good in the world, and who had different ways of approaching that and different ways of wanting it to turn out, but who all came together as real family and as family of choice to accomplish the goal of making the world a better place. And uh, I think pretty much everybody among the principal characters got what they really wanted in life. And I was very proud of the final episode. And I was very proud of the show and the direction it took all along. So, with the possible exception of getting killed off in season 7, I,
It's like,
I, I might have talked them out of that if I could have. But.
When Supernatural first started, my oldest daughter was about 3 or 4 years old. So she literally
38 now, right?
Yeah, no, she's just 18. But she's spent her whole life effectively watching Supernatural. So, and I sat with her because, I'm the horror dork in the house. I'm the one that
Mm-hmm.
originally wanted to watch the show. And watching the last season, it seemed like such a perfect coda of, the way Dean passes versus the way Sam passes, and then that scene of, Sam aging while Dean drives. When you first saw that episode, like I can't imagine that it didn't just absolutely almost crush you. Like I was crying like I mean, I lost it. It's
Well,
been 15 years of my life.
it's interesting. Reading the script is always a different experience from seeing it. Uh, I thought it was a very good script, and well put together, well thought out. But seeing it on my TV screen was a much more emotional experience than simply reading it, because when you're reading it, for one thing, you don't get performance. You don't get. Watching Jared and Jensen in their final earthly scene together was really, really powerful stuff, and you can sort of imagine that when you're reading it, but there's nothing like seeing scenes like that done well. And frankly, I was when I read the material for what I was going to do in the episode, I thought, well, this is pretty good. It's I might have juiced it up a little bit. But then when we did it, and when I saw it, I realized, no, this is juiced up enough. This is just what it needed. And there's always something about the performance of it that changes how it read on the page. And if you're lucky, it changes it for the good.
Right.
All along the run of the show, ever since Bobby became a major character on the show, there have always been times when I've had ideas about really interesting things that they could do with Bobby. And I have to keep reminding myself that it's not the Bobby Singer show. And I did indeed hope that there would be a little more to do in the final episode. And my understanding, to me, the real jip for all of us associated with the show is that because of the pandemic, we weren't able to film the final episode the way it was originally planned, which I think would have blown minds everywhere in a very good way. But I know that I would have had a little more to do, and a lot of other people would have had something to do. And it was unfortunate that circumstances shut down a lot of those plans, because I spent something like March to September kind of drooling over what I thought they were going to do, and knowing as the pandemic lingered on that we probably weren't going to get to do it. And I won't describe what was in the plans, but at some point I suspect somebody will, if they haven't already, and then I'll feel a little freer to talk about it. But it was an honor to be back at the end. Mm-hmm. Not only back at the end, but back in my original guise as Bobby. And as much fun as I had playing the alternate universe version, I much preferred playing original Bobby, and playing the emotions and relationship he has with Sam and Dean. And I was very happy to get one last shot at that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was.
So much of the show takes place in, like little backwaters and hamlets and like rural America. Like, was that an intentional, like, do you know if that was an intentional like thing to kind of almost like write this love letter to like those, I-80 in Iowa, or, the old Route 66? Like, so much of the show feels like that road trip through Nebraska kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like,
well, I've driven through Nebraska, and I hope we're more adventurous than a road trip like that would be. Simply because I like a road that turns every once in a while.
Yeah, same here.
But as you know, the show was pitched as Route 66 with monsters. And not everybody who watches the show is old enough to remember the old Route 66 show, but that's what it was. It was two guys driving around the country, having various adventures, and I think that was. I've never heard Eric describe it in quite the terms you did, but I think that's probably it. I think there's something wonderful about a road trip, and we got a 15-year road trip.
Yeah.
There's about the only places in the country I think we didn't get to visit were the desert Southwest, because it's hard to come up with that in Vancouver, where we shoot. So it was, it's, like I said, there's something wonderful about a road trip, and I love road trip movies. And this was one of the things that was always fun for me was when I would get a script, it would be to open it up and find out where does this one take place. And I knew we'd all be within, a 10-mile radius of Vancouver, but in our imaginations, okay, this week we're in Minnesota, next week we're in Kansas. And I had a lot of fun with that. I don't know if it was planned, as you say, as a Valentine to the whole country that way, but it sure worked out that way.
I do love that the highways and byways of rural America are in Canada. I've always thought that was really funny.
It limited us some, but because not all of the United States is covered in northern rainforests.
Right. Yeah.
And not all of the United States rains 9 months out of the year. So
a lot of episodes in Seattle.
Yeah, and a lot of wearing short sleeves in the winter in Canada, pretending it's the summer in Florida. That was a downside.
I can imagine. So I would be a little remiss if I didn't bring up The Boys. Our show centers around comic books and the media that's created from comic books. And so The Boys being this Amazon show that is, based on, kind of a long running comic book. You had the opportunity to play Secretary of Defense Robert Singer, which I love that joke that you're the same guy effectively. But what was the experience of working on The Boys like?
Well, it's it's been great. It's working with Eric again. It's working with Phil Segretia, who I've known for over the course of 3 or 4 series now, and including Supernatural. It's so far it's been kind of a functionary role in that there's not a lot of delving into my character's backstory or personal life, although some of that's about to change. I've only worked with 3 or 4 different actors on the show, and despite the huge cast, so there are a lot of people on the show I haven't even met, which is kind of unusual considering we're getting ready to do the 3rd season.
Right.
But I love the show. When I heard I was going to be on it, I thought, okay, well, who knows what this will be, and once I saw what it was, I was thrilled. It's very much my kind of show. I like over the top irreverence, and this one's got it in spades.
Yeah, yes, it does. It's one of the more entertaining comic book adaptations I think we've seen in the last few years. It cracks me up every time.
Yeah, it's a little disturbing in good ways and bad. In the bad, it's disturbing in that it reflects an awful lot of negative things going on in the world these days, and I think that you don't have to look too hard for metaphors
Yeah.
in this show. But it's also I think it's really got its heart in the right place, and there's nothing that makes the medicine go down quite as well as exploding heads. So I'm really looking forward to coming back. I just found out yesterday that this This Robert Singer is also from South Dakota, so the echoes continue. It's I don't know. Eric Kripke has not to toot my own horn, but he has gone on record as saying that he won't ever do a show without me.
That's some job security.
That's pretty nice, as long as he keeps getting jobs to bring me aboard. But I'm starting to wonder if I'm going to have to play Bob Singer every single time I go to work. But it should be a great season. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really looking forward to doing a little bit more than just Secretary of Defense stuff.
Yeah.
And there's some interesting stuff coming.
I'm very excited to see it. Like The Boys is now a perennial favorite on our show, so it scratches a lot of the itches that we have. Like you said, medicine goes down better with exploding heads, which is officially a quote now. So as we're kind of wrapping up the episode, what are some of the things, you have season 3 of The Boys coming? I know with, the pandemic, everything kind of shut down. So some people are still kind of in limbo with some of the stuff that they have coming out or projects that they've jumped onto. But what are some of the things that we can look forward to from you?
Well, I just finished shooting my second film with Guillermo del Toro. Which is called Nightmare Alley, and it's a new version of the 1947 Tyrone Power film, and Bradley Cooper and Cate Blanchett and a whole passel of other well-known actors are in it, and I was lucky enough to get asked to be part of it myself. My understanding is that that'll be coming out in about a year. Other than The Boys, I don't have anything on the books. It's a weird time. I know that there are a lot of places I would probably be working right now or soon if things weren't in such a crazy state around the world. But work is ramping up. There are a lot of things in production, but they're a lot more expensive to do because of the protocols everybody has to take, and they're slower because of that, and there aren't as many. So while I don't have any doubts that I will be working on something else soon in addition to The Boys, I have no idea what. And I just hope I'm not wrong.
And I see that your shirt has a title on it with your name under it. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, I didn't know you could see that.
Yeah.
I would not have been brag-ragging here.
Oh, that's okay. I'm wearing my company's hoodie. You just can't tell because it's on the back.
Oh, I was just letting the title show. I didn't realize my own name showed up under it. That's disgusting. No, this is a shirt from a production of a play I wrote called Verdigris, and this particular production was in Illinois a few years ago. So
that's awesome. I'm gonna have to look that up.
So that play was kind of the thing that got me started in the business. First production in LA back in 1985 got me a big agent, which got me jobs writing television, which got me jobs acting, and here we are.
Nice. And now you're talking to some dude that's in his basement.
Yeah. Well, it's my audience.
Well, Jim, can you let our fans know like how they can keep track of what's going on with you? Any social media that you have?
I'm on Facebook. I've got a page there. I'm on Instagram. At the moment, I'm off Twitter. I'm debating whether or not to go back. But it's I'm kind of I've always tried to be accessible on social media, and sometimes it bites me, and sometimes I feel the need to take a break
I,
and
I can
cool my own
imagine.
jets. And but I don't know. I may be back. I may be back on Twitter, but I am. I keep pretty close tabs to my Facebook page, and so you can always find me there. And probably wherever cheap entertainment is sold.
Well, Jim, thank you so much for being on our show. We truly appreciate it. From a grown man that you made cry, I truly appreciate, what you all created with the show. Like it was genuinely an amazing experience. And while it's over, and I will be able to look back on it with fondness forever. Like I think I'm not alone in being one of the people that just has to say thank you very much back, after the episode. So,
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I have a lot more history making women cry, but I appreciate the sentiment, and I will tell you that it's been one of the great honors of my life to be on a show that allows me to interact so frequently with such great people as the fans of that show are.
that's
So
awesome.
it's been a real pleasure. And
Well,
I